Aloha Algebra 1 students, this is Project 6, Part B explanation. Now I'm going to start off by looking at the rubric, and in order to get full points, it says that your graph has to be clear. You have to have a labeled axis and scale. The equation matches the parabola, and that it crosses through the x and y axis. Also, on the other side of your instruction papers, we're going to be using Desmos to graph your parabolas in a graphing calculator. We're going to insert your parabola into the Desmos calculator. And a couple of things. We need to make sure that the vertex is not on 0, 0, and that also the parabola crosses through the x and y axis. We're going to find the equation in vertex form of your parabola, and then before you log out of Desmos, you need to make sure that you take some screenshots so that we can upload them into Google Classroom. Now I'm going to go over to Desmos.com. This link is in Google Classroom, so if you need it, you can go there. And this is what it looks like. Desmos.com/calculator. DESMOS.com/calculator. Here's our graph, and this is where we're going to be putting some equations. Before we get started, let's go to the right top corner, and let's go to the plier or the wrench. The wrench here. Click on the wrench. It says Graph Settings. And we're going to click on this big A here. It's going to bold our graph. We're going to click on Minor Grid Lines. And so all the little lines will disappear. If you just keep clicking on and off, you're going to see that there's minor ones that are inside the big ones that we need. We're going to change each step to 1. So if you go to step and you just add in the number 1. And then likewise, we're going to use degree. So I clicked on A. I clicked off minor grid line, so it disappeared. Steps were 1, and I changed the degrees. Now, to make this disappear, you're just going to click back on the wrench. And this is still saved and adjusted for us. Okay. We're going to upload a picture into Desmos. And on Monday, we're going to do a practice one. And then on Wednesday, you're going to do your real one. So I'm going into recent screenshots, and I'm just going to go downward until I find the one that I took. I think it's this one. Let's try it out. Yep, there it is. So this is a branch of a tree that is right outside my classroom in front of D building, Mrs. K's class, where the benches are, right by the parking lot. And so if you looked out over the ledge, you're going to be able to see this parabola right there in the tree. Now, a couple things. In order to make the picture bigger, if you have a really small picture, you're going to want to drag out a corner. So any outside dot will make this bigger. Make it bigger. If you want to actually move the picture around, you're going to click on the middle one and drag it wherever you want it. Now, remember I said that the vertex and the axis of symmetry cannot be at 0, 0. And so the way that it's set it up right in the center, you're not allowed to do that. I want you to offset it, still crossing through the x-axis and the y-axis. So I'm going to actually do it about here. You could totally do up here, down there. But I'm going to go to the side, and I'm going to drop it like right here we go. And so can you see that it crosses the y-axis there, and it crosses the x-axis actually about the same place. You know what? We're going to switch it so that it crosses the y-axis over here and crosses the x-axis over there. You know what? I'm going to move it a little bit more so that my vertex is right at -1, 2. Sorry, -1, -2. To just make it a little easier. So x-axis, x-axis, y-axis, vertex. Okay. At that point, I'm going to put in a new formula. F of x equals a times, sorry, we're putting in vertex formula, and you should know this. X minus h squared. Now, when you're doing squared, you can either press Shift 6 and 2, or you can go down to this keyboard, and it says a squared. Just click on a squared, a tool will appear. And again, vertex form is a times x minus h squared plus c. And close the keyboard, and this is what it should look like. You're going to add the sliders below, and you can add them all at one time by clicking all, or you can add them singly. So I'm just going to add them all because I want all of them. Now, this created a parabola right on your page. I'm going to actually change the color of this parabola by, hold on, let's close it just for a second. You're going to click on settings, the setting wheel, and I'm going to change this to orange just so it's a little bit more bright and I can see it better. And this H is at 1, C is at 1, A is at 1, and so I need to adjust it so that I can get it here. Now, I know that the vertex is at -1, -2, and so I know that this has to go down because we want it to go down. This one also has to go down. But as you can see, it's too skinny. So how do we get it bigger? Or how do we get it wider? A needs to become smaller. Okay, you can adjust it with the slider, or you can put in some numbers. Okay, so that actually looks pretty perfect to me right there. Actually, you can see that there's a little space there and a little space there. And let's see if we can go 1.1. No. 0.9. I think 0.9 is better. Because look, totally sealed up this edge here. There's a little bit of edging there, but it still looks good. There's my parabola all the way across. Okay. Now, before we take screenshots, we actually have to document the equation. So I'm going to rewrite the equation, but I'm going to be using these numbers. I'm going to take the 0.9, -0.9, and I'm plugging that into the -h. I'm taking my -2 and I'm plugging that into the C. Likewise with A equals 0.55, and I'm plugging this into the A. Now let's write our equation. So we have 0.55 times x plus 0.9 close. Remember, we want to do square. Oh, I'm wrong. I put 0.0 and it should be 0.9. Square. And plus C is -2. Now, as you can see, it covered up the other parabola. Now, I want you to change this to a dashed line. So you're going to click on settings, click on the color, and this will give me a dashed line. And as you can see, I can see both parabolas right on top of each other. So I know for sure that the equation is written out correctly. And again, this is a nice tight fit into this parabola here. Okay, we're going to take some screenshots of all of this here. And the way that we screenshot will differ from every computer. So when you're in class, we'll talk about this. Okay, and one more thing is you might be looking at this and thinking, it's not straight. It's a little crooked. This is where this angle comes in, the degrees. If I was to put in 1 degree, you see how it turns it? 1 degree, maybe 2 degree. 3 degree. See, if you put in numbers, it's going to change. How are we putting 1, 2, no. 1, 2, 3. Let's go back to 2. No, let's go back to 1. Let's go back to that. Okay, so if you need to change yours around, then that's how you're gonna maneuver it, going round and around. Okay. The last step in all of this is you're gonna go to your project in Desmos, and on Monday we're going to upload our practice problems into the practice parabola page. There you go. Here's the equation, the sliders, the vertex form, and the parabola that I created in the piece that I did. Now, tomorrow, when you come back to class, we're going to be doing the parabola from part A. Again, today was just practice, and then tomorrow is going to be the real parabola that you're using for part A. Okay, please make sure that if you have any questions or concerns that you're coming in and asking questions. This is pretty simple, but you might need a lot of guidance until you're used to using this particular website. Okay, mahalo. Have a good day.